Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. Today on Shakesyear, we are still working on Julius Caesar, and we get to hear some of the most famous words that Shakespeare has written. Like everybody knows at least the opening line of this speech. I promise you, as soon as you hear it, you will know it. But before we get into that, just real quick, this video is being recorded and then uploaded as opposed to streaming it live because YouTube has changed their settings, whatever, that you have to have at least 1,100 followers before you can stream live on their platform, which I think is kind of arbitrary and sucky, whatever. But if you want to help change that, just click the subscribe button down there and tell all of your friends to subscribe as well, and then maybe we can get back to a place where I can stream live and maybe interact with some of the comments that you put down in the doobly-doo. Anyway, that's out of the way. Getting out of the weird hubbub of that mental headspace of learning that just now. Anyway, back to Shakespeare. We are in Julius Caesar, and we are in Act 3, Scene 2. We get to hear from Mark Antony today. We are at Caesar's funeral. And yesterday, we had Brutus getting up and talking at Caesar's funeral, and he was saying that he loved Caesar, he respected Caesar, but he had to kill Caesar before Caesar got too big so that everybody would be able to be free and everybody would be able to have a voice in the Commonwealth and all of that sort of thing. And he's like, you know, if you would rather be slaves, then I'm sorry I offended you by killing Caesar. Is there anybody here that I offended? And by the end of his speech yesterday, all of the citizens are like, we're behind you, Brutus, and Brutus should be Caesar, and, you know, all this, Brutus should be king, Brutus should be leading us, blah, blah, blah. Everybody is very, very, very much pro-Brutus by the end of Brutus's speech. But Brutus leaves, and he's like, just wait, you know, Mark Antony gets to speak now too, so let's give him a shot. And then Brutus leaves the stage. And Mark Antony tries to get up and start speaking, but there's still a lot of hubbub going on. There's people talking, and some people trying to shush other people so that Mark Antony can speak, and some people just talking over Mark Antony because they don't want him to speak, and a lot of people still on Brutus' side, whatever, until Mark Antony finally says, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often tarred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men, come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff, yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, and not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? Oh, judgment! Thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me. Famous Shakespearean words. So I particularly love this speech because it's so beautifully passive-aggressive. Brutus talking about honoring Caesar and all that sort of a thing, and Mark Antony taking that and running with it and doing the, this isn't really what was going on, but Brutus says it was going on. He's calling out the gaslighting that Brutus is trying to pull on everybody by saying that Caesar was ambitious and therefore had to die. So yeah, I think it's just a beautifully crafted speech. He calls out these wonderful things that Caesar did for the people and questions whether or not they fall under the category of ambition, which everybody in the crowd is sitting there going, well, no, actually that's not an ambitious thing, but Brutus says that he was, and Brutus is honorable, so therefore it must be that kind of thing. And then he's like, I'm not saying anything bad about Brutus. I'm just saying he was my friend and I love him and I need to mourn him. And then he has to take a moment, which is so, it's brilliant. It's like like the James Brown, like getting all like, oh, I'm into it. So then he can pop up and say more, which is what we're going to see tomorrow, because he's not quite done talking yet. He's just starting to turn people's minds. He's got quite a ways to go as he goes on with this. But when he finishes this bit of speech and he has to take a pause until he can, get his thoughts together again, the people start to say, actually, those are some good points that he was making. So yeah, it's starting to be effective already. And tomorrow we'll get to hear more about how the people feel about what Mark Antony has to say. We'll get to hear more of what Mark Antony has to say and then learn how the people react to it. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for more. And remember, subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe so that I can stream live again. Mwah.